chat box. Never know with YouTube whether you're live yet or not, so maybe someone could say hello to me. It's really great to be here. Great that you could be live here with me. And today I'm going to talk about the awesome topic about how to figure out whether there is a physical imbalance that is underlying your poor mood or anxiety. I talk a lot about that on this channel, and today I'm going to mention a few free resources and one new resource that I'll be making available to you today as well. And right at the end, I'm also going to talk about an opportunity for you to get some free advice from me. So stick around to the end to find out about that. So sorry about that. Maybe someone could just say hello in the chat box for me, just so that I know that you can hear me. And maybe you could tell me where you're from. I'm from New Zealand, if you haven't figured that out with my big, broad Kiwi accent. Sound like a farmer, don't I? I used to live in Switzerland, and they used to tell me to slow down when I was talking because they couldn't understand me. So have we got anyone here from another country? I've had someone emailing me from Spain, and I think from the Netherlands as well. So it's awesome that we've got such a great community. Awesome. Okay. Oh, awesome. We got someone here from Canada as well. Thanks, JG. I really appreciate that. It's from Jim. Cool. Thanks, Jim. Awesome. Okay, so I just want to ask you a question. Have you ever felt overwhelmed with all the natural supplements that you could possibly eat or take for low mood and for anxiety? I mean, there's just so many supplements to choose from. Would you agree? You hear different practitioners saying, "Oh, you've got to look after your gut health," and it's like gut is the only thing that impacts your mental health. And then someone says, gluten-free, you've got to be gluten-free. Or they say magnesium's the key, the one thing that you must do for mental health. Other people are like vitamin D, methylation, genetics, adrenals, hormones. And then you've got all the other supplements like 5-HTP and SAMe and tyrosine and NAC. And does anyone here feel quite overwhelmed with the number of options that they've got? Maybe you could comment in the comment section. Thanks, Debbie. She's from Texas, and Kelly's here from Michigan, and Maria's from Norway. Awesome. It's cool to have everyone from around the world. So is anyone out there overwhelmed with what supplements to take? Yeah, thanks, Kelly. Yes, Kelly is overwhelmed with all the options available to help in mental health. And so is Hayden, and so is Debbie's feeling overwhelmed too. And it's such an issue, and I understand it. And people ask me, what's one thing I should do? And the thing is, I don't want to be known for one thing, not one supplement, not, gut health. I want to speak the truth, and I want to tell people that there's not just one cause. And even the physical side of mental health isn't, the be all and end all. We've got to look at the psychological side, the spiritual side, the social side. Mental health is so complicated, really, and there's so many things feeding into it. But I do want to give you some keys today about how you can find these underlying causes. Because, there's not one cause, and there's not just one miracle supplement or not one miracle diet that you need to follow. But for you, there may be one miracle supplement, there may be one miracle diet. But for the next person, for another client of mine, it may be something different. So what do I do when I'm trying to figure out what underlying drivers, what's driving the low mood or the anxiety or the brain fog for my clients? Well, usually I'll do a lot of different testing, so blood tests and stool tests and hormones. And in my future online course, which should only be a couple of weeks away, I'll be discussing 8 different tests that you can get done through your doctor. So they're very simple and very readily available. And I'll be teaching you to rule out deficiencies, because there's not just one deficiency. It's not just magnesium. It's not just vitamin D. There's a number of them. But I've got 2 resources, and which are free and which don't require money. And they can be very helpful in the first stage of just figuring out whether there's a physical cause. So firstly, you may be familiar with this resource. It's up on my website and it's been available for maybe a year. And it's called the 7 Secret Causes for Depression and Anxiety that your doctor won't tell you. And you may not know it by that title because I've changed the title, but it's a symptom checklist. So it's got 28 different symptoms. And so you go through the physical symptoms that you may be experiencing. Has anyone downloaded that resource from my website? Anyone watching? And did you find anything interesting out about it? So it gives you symptoms like, do you have bloating and problems with your digestive system, and also things like white dots on the fingernails. Do you have stretch marks? Do you, just trying to remember now, I wrote it so long ago. But it will talk about all these different symptoms, and even things about your diet and whether you eat red meat or not, or if you're a vegetarian. So that resource is available. I'm not going to talk about it anymore today, but it's really helpful because it tells you about 7 physical causes for depression and anxiety. So Hayden, make sure you go to my website and download that. It's on the first page, or you can look under the resources tab on my website, because I've got quite a lot of resources available for people. But the new resource that I want to share today is something that I've been more recently using with my clients, and so it hasn't been made available to very many people. And it's quite simple, really, but I think it's quite effective. I'm finding it effective. It's a simple 1-page diary, okay? And you can record 2 weeks of information on it. So what I'm suggesting to people is to put it beside their bed before they go to bed at night, and just answer 14, well, not 14 questions, but fill in like about 7 different columns. And then I have 14 questions there for you to read through that might just trigger some thoughts about what's going on for you. So you can download this resource from my website, drjanellesinclair.com/diary, and it's really helpful. So for some people, I have clients that come to me and they bring their diary and they've written things down about what's going on for them every single day. And then I have other clients that are far less organized and far less self-aware. And it's for these clients that I've created this 1-page, very simple diary, because if we look at triggers and we look at patterns in our life, I think it's really, really revealing. And so I've got 14 questions in this document for you to think about. So do you feel worse after you've eaten? Do you feel better in the morning when you wake up, and you feel worse after you've eaten? Do you feel worse if you've skipped a meal? Do you find, even just asking things like, when is your period, and recording it on the diary just to see whether there's a hormonal link going on, finding out whether sleep is really key for you. So I had one client in their sleep. We recognised that their sleep went bad about 2 or 3 days before their mood really dropped. So just highlighting that they really needed to concentrate on improving their sleep. So what else did I write on that document? Also, did you take all your supplements today? Or did you do some exercise today? And the thing is, like, exercise can be helpful for some people, and for other people it can burn them out. So it's a really great idea to try to identify these patterns, okay? And some of the patterns that you may find, and there's different patterns, some of them are based on the season. So for some clients of mine, they feel worse during the winter. So if you do know and you do recognize that winter is a hard time for you, I would highly recommend you look at your vitamin D levels. And has anyone here downloaded my vitamin D report from my website? Kelly says, I'm just looked it up. I hope that's about vitamin D, or maybe it was about one of the other resources, because there's lots of resources there for you. So vitamin D, and in that report, I recommend getting your vitamin D tested and making sure your levels are optimal, because often you'll go to your doctor and they'll look at your blood tests and they'll be like, oh, you're fine, but they don't really look to see if your blood levels are actually optimal. They might be okay or just scraping through, but I want to make sure that your levels are optimal. So firstly, with patterns, just with patterns, looking at seasons. So check out vitamin D there. Sorry, Kelly's just said on my website it's not available. I'll check that out at the end of this. I'm sorry to hear that. It was working earlier in the day. That's no good. So another pattern that you want to look for is things throughout the month, whether your mood, your energy levels, your anxiety gets worse in a particular week of the month or not. So this is most applicable for women, but men stick around because I'll be talking about patterns from a daily basis very shortly, okay? So from a monthly perspective, it's really about your hormones and what's happening with your hormones. So with women, your progesterone and your estrogen go up and down throughout the month. And so if you've never thought about this pattern, you really need to think about it and maybe record it in a diary. Okay, so if your mood or energy levels or even your anxiety is worse during your period, this can identify that it's the blood loss that is affecting you. So that could be low iron levels. And I've come across people that have low iron and that'll actually give them suicidal thoughts because it's so low. Okay, so don't underestimate the impact that iron can have on your mood. Personally, when I got quite low in iron, I was very melancholic, like, what's the point in life? It wasn't depression, but I recognized it and sort of thought, what's going on here? And I found out that my iron was low at the time. So yeah, if you find that you are lower during a period, but your iron levels are okay, firstly check that your iron levels are optimal, not just scraping through. But secondly, also could be due to other electrolytes too. So for some women, I find that potassium and magnesium can be helpful during their period to help them as well. So the other thing you want to look for from a monthly perspective is whether your mood is worse the week or two before your period is due. Some people, it can just be 2 days before, but most of the time it's probably that week before, so day 21 of a 28-day cycle. And so this is due to a progesterone deficiency and or a estrogen dominance, okay? And so I've had people ask me, well, when you look at all the charts of hormones, progesterone and estrogen are high during that time, and that's when I feel worse. So doesn't it mean that progesterone is making me feel worse? Well, no, that's not the case. In someone that has no symptoms of a hormonal problem or mood, and their hormones are working right, progesterone and estrogen should be high, and then you don't have any poor symptoms. But if the progesterone is too low or the estrogen is too high, or both of these situations together, it can mean that is when you can feel low mood and irritability and PMS, okay? So it's the progesterone deficiency. So if you find that throughout your diary, you're looking, I have 3 days where I feel really bad and it's the week before my period is due. Well, that could be a progesterone deficiency, and I have a video on progesterone deficiency. So search progesterone deficiency and Dr. Janelle, and I'm sure that you'll easily find it. And it will give you some keys there about what to do for progesterone. Okay. So hopefully that's helpful from a monthly perspective and a seasonal perspective. So let's go on and think about a daily perspective. So interestingly, as I said with my client, we picked up that her sleep kind of played up 2 or 3 days before her mood was at its lowest. And so we identified that we needed to look at her sleep a bit more and put some more effort into helping her sleep through the night. So that could be something that you look out for. Are there, is your sleep bad all the time, or is it just particular days of the month? Also, what I find interesting with a daily recording what you're doing on a daily basis is one of the questions is there a time of the day that you feel worse? Okay, so for some of my clients, we found that after lunch he felt worse, and so I identified that, okay, maybe we need to give you some more supplement support during that time, because you're doing really well in the morning. You take your supplements first thing in the morning, and then it's in the afternoon when you crash. So either we need to be giving you some supplements at lunchtime to help carry you through the afternoon. Also maybe looking at what he's eating, and maybe he needs an afternoon snack to, maybe his blood sugar levels are just getting a little bit too low in that mid-afternoon time. Another idea is also adrenal fatigue. Is a characteristic of adrenal fatigue when your adrenal glands have burnt out, and it's you've fatigued them. I mean, it's not the greatest term, adrenal fatigue, but a lot of people are familiar with it. So with adrenal fatigue, one of the characteristics is that you wake up feeling terrible and groggy and you can't get out of bed, and then around 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon you feel low again. So, and usually with adrenal fatigue also you feel like you need to go to bed about 8 o'clock at night, and if you don't go to bed then and you push through, you have a second wind, and then you can't get to sleep at night. So adrenal fatigue is another another condition, I suppose you could call it, that has fluctuations in mood and energy levels throughout the day. So you may want to consider that. I've got a video on adrenal fatigue symptoms too, if you want to check that one out. Another question I ask is, do you feel okay when you wake up? So for those people that feel okay when they wake up, then the next thing is, well, when do you feel bad? Is it after you eat? So if you say, yes, it's after I eat, well, then we say, do you have any gut issues? Okay, do you have diarrhea, constipation, bloating, any reflux, digestive pain? Any of these symptoms could indicate that you've got gut issues. But even if you don't have any of those symptoms and you feel worse after eating, it could be poor gut health. And I've got a video on brain fog, and I think it was one of the first 3 videos I think one of the first 3 videos that I created on brain fog, and it talks about a diet called the low FODMAP diet. And the low FODMAP diet can be very helpful for people with brain fog. So if you're waking up feeling reasonable, you eat something, it could be a reaction to what you're eating. And so that could be you're feeding the bad bacteria in your gut, and the low FODMAP diet might be helpful for you. Or it could be a food intolerance also. So I've had someone that woke up okay, felt great, and they had breakfast and they felt worse. And for them, they figured out that it was eggs. Okay. Hey, Dragonfly from South Korea. Good for you to be here. Glad that you're here. Thanks for that tip about B5 for adrenal support. Yes, it can be very helpful, and I think I mentioned it in my adrenal supplement video. Okay. So some other things from a daily perspective. Yeah, if you wake up feeling anxious, you want to ask yourself, did you eat sugar the night before? Okay, because that can impact your blood sugars, give you reactive hypoglycemia, and then you can actually wake up quite anxious because of it. Okay. Also, you want to ask, does skipping a meal make me feel worse? Blood sugar, it could be blood sugars again. Does exercise make me feel worse? That could be adrenal fatigue again. Okay, I'm just going to check my notes just to make sure that if there's anything else that I wanted to say about patterns throughout the day. Has anyone got any questions on that? Is there any times of the day that you feel worse? Okay, so yeah, just write them in the comment section if you've got any questions. But I just wanted to let you know there's that free resource at my website, drjanellesinclair.com/diary. And what I'm going to do is open up the opportunity for me to be able to interpret your information. So if you're diligent and you fill in that information for 6 weeks, I know it's a long time, but I want enough information so I can look for real patterns. So if you go to my website, download that document, fill it in, and in 6 weeks' time, email me your information, making sure that you fill in the consent form and things. What I'll do is I will share the information here on YouTube. I won't use your name, but I will show everybody the diaries, and I will show you patterns and help interpret your information through the video. But then this will also help teach other people how to use their diaries in an easy way. So maybe if that interests you, if you've been trying to figure out what is the underlying driver of my low mood or my brain fog or my anxiety, fill in the diary and then send it to me in 6 weeks' time. So I've mentioned 3 resources there for you today. That symptom checklist to find out whether there's any physical signs that could reveal whether there's a physical imbalance that could be contributing to your low mood or anxiety. Got the vitamin D document, and then finally this diary document. So I hope that's been helpful for you guys. I know this was a live and really chatty, and as you know, I'm doing a few different things. So let me know in the comments section if you like this live scenario, if you like just me chatting and just talking off not the top of my head, because I do prepare for this, but it's just not so scripted. I'd really love to hear from you. And I think in the next week or two, either next week or the week after, my daughter will be joining me for a question and answer session. So thank you very much for everybody that sent in their questions. I will be answering and endeavouring to answer all of them. But if you have any others, just jump on the email and send me those. And thanks again, everybody. If you want the opportunity for me to interpret your diary information, please send it to me in over the next 6 weeks. Great, thanks, Debbie. She says, I like the live chatting, but I also like your other videos. Cool. Well, we'll just do a bit of a variety over the next 6 months or so. And yeah, there are other videos that I'd like to record. But thank you for that feedback. And yeah, thanks again for joining me live, and I'll see you next time,